Monrovia. We're gonna spend 72 hours showing you the sights and sounds of Liberia. We're gonna go everywhere. We're on our way now to Liberia National Museum, and from there we'll go to Waterside Market, which is the biggest open air market in all of Monrovia. So don't go anywhere. It's a Vickie Remoe show. My African adventure in traffic in Monrovia, Liberia. Walking out of the Liberia National Museum on Broad Street in Monrovia, where I've just been to see the renovated museum. It was renovated last year, and there's a new curated history of Liberia from the pre-colonial era to today. I would really like to talk about it right now, but I feel I have a lot of thoughts in my mind and it's really overwhelming. But do come and see. Liberia's history is complicated. You can't come here and not think about the war, and you can't come here and not talk about or see or experience what happened here for almost 14 years and more. 500 million people died during the war that started in 1989 and just ended with the stepping down of Charles Taylor and the election of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But I'll talk a little bit more about the museum and the stories later, because right now I kind of just want to be in my thoughts. But definitely check out the Liberia National Museum on Broad Street if you're ever in Monrovia. It's one to not miss. I am at Waterside Market on Water Street in Monrovia, Liberia, and we're in the produce section of the market, where you would come to get cassava leaves, potato leaves, crane, palm oil, maggi, onions, pepper, garden eggs, okra, and basically everything that you would need to cook yourself any kind of Liberian sauce. But you can also find bush meat here at the market, and it is a combination of sometimes monkey, sometimes deer, that's caught in the bushes, brought here, already smoked, and the women who work here sell it in parts or whole. The women here are really reluctant to talk on camera about the bushmeats because they said that during Ebola a lot of journalists came here and they said that Ebola came from bushmeats and it really spoils the trade. So they go and spend money on buying the bushmeats and then people won't come and buy it. So right now they're basically really angry with journalists, and rightly so, because their point is, you know, people have been eating bushmeats in Liberia for years and years and years. They never got Ebola. Now, you know, you go and bring your Ebola to Liberia and you say that it's the bushmeat. So none of the women here would talk to me. While they agree with us that we can shoot the produce, they're not. They said they don't like journalists. So. This is the inside. What does it taste like? It tastes like deer. Do you put it in sauce? Would you put it in cassava leaves? Cassava leaves, potato leaves. Palm butter? You put this in palm butter? How much for this? Oh, you won't sell just one? Wait, you weigh it? Or you buy like, so together? Oh, wait. So all of this, one person would buy all of this? To do what? Cook. Kobo? So they'll just buy this whole thing. How much would this cost? $5,000. $5 US dollars? Is that $5 US dollars? $50? How much is that? 40. This is $40. It's expensive. It's expensive. How much for one chicken? If I buy chicken, how much? One whole chicken? You don't know? Wow. So this is $40 worth of deer. Wow. Do you have any monkey? This one? This one? This is also for soup? Which one is more expensive, the monkey or the deer? This one is more expensive? So how much for this one? Also 4? 2? How much for this? 3,000? Okay. Which one tastes better? Monkey sweets. Deer not sweet. But this one's better. This also you'd put in soup? So wait, how do you cook it? You put it in water so that it can be soft? Because it's very hard. Okay. Okay. Do you sell every day? Somebody's buying every day? Which one sells more, the monkey or the deer? No, which one is popular? Oh, what is this? Oh, they've broken it into pieces. Okay. Sign of the cross. I'm not even Christian. Okay, so this is deer. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's like. I don't know. What does it taste like though? Fish? No.
No, but it's not sweet.
It's not sweet, no. It's not sweet. No. It's deer. It's not sweet. It's not sweet, but it's okay. Which one is this one? Monkey? What's this? Deer? Okay, this is better. It's dry, it's drier. Oh, okay, red deer. This one is what? Black bar, okay. Thank you. I'm not eating monkey though. No, I can't. Here, okay. Can I have wipes? Just one. Just one. Here, for your family. Take it for your children. Okay, are we good? It's so hard to swallow. It's very good. Here, take this. This is gold. It's cotton. No.
Oh, madam.
No.
No. I'm telling you.
No, I'm telling you, my brother.
Yes.
Let me explain something to you.
All right.
I've been to Bamako.
Yes.
Yes. I've been to Ghana.
Yes.
I've been to Sierra Leone. I know the difference between cotton. I'll show you if you have this one.
It's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different.
Yes.
Hey, it's a lot different, my brother.
Yes.
Hey, I know this thing. You know, because cotton in Liberia and Sierra Leone is hard to find.
No, yes,
it's harder to get.
It is true.
Now, before it was plenty.
Yeah, but actually, let me tell you the truth. You know where we can get this cotton? In Burkina.
I know, Burkina.
That's where we can buy the cotton.
So you guys are bringing the cotton from Burkina and then they're weaving it here?
Yes. We even have some control cloth for the Labron flare. So same type like this.
I see.
With the Labron flare. Let me open a piece here.
No. I know this thing. Don't worry.
Oh,
don't worry.
okay.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm watching you. I know people like you, traders everywhere.
No.
You have story. You have plenty story. Hey, if you tell one story.
This is just like pinning.
Oh, okay.
But it's very beautiful.
Okay.
Just design, but it's very beautiful. You see?
Oh, it's just like a wall hanging?
Yes, like a wall hanging. You don't have to put on the frame if you want it.
Oh, you can just hang it in your room or something. Interesting. I really like this idea that they have of the 16 tribes of Liberia. I like it because then it's like
different.
I've never seen something like this before. That every tribe has a mask.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's very cool. And they're like, some of them are very similar, but they're all different.
Yes. Oh, you know, this is Liberian idea.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. Whoever decided They should do this.
It's something new for Liberia
because you can teach it also in school.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You can teach the children about their culture using something like that, and you know, and geography. You say, okay, this tribe, you know, it's nice. I like it. How much for the hat? 50. Silverbird. Silverbird are like the Nigerian company. They have a cinema in Nigeria and Ghana, and they have one here. Between 17 and 16.
Yeah, but
So we're still in Monrovia, Liberia, and as you can see, I've gone back to the hotel, I've changed, I've refreshed because going to Waterside Market totally overwhelmed me. It was really, really hot. Right now I'm going to go talk to Chiquita Johnson, who's a young returnee Liberian woman who is running a travel and tourism company here in Liberia, promoting the country's landscapes, the hotels, what to see, what to do, activities. And I think it's just a really important conversation to talk to people who've come back to Liberia, because clearly they wouldn't be here if they didn't believe in Liberia's future. So it's the Vickie Remoe show in Monrovia, Liberia. We're gonna talk to Chiquita. What's happening? Okay? All right. So we're on top of the Royal Grand Hotel in St. Croix in Monrovia's Montserrado County. Of course, that's in Liberia. I've come to meet Miss Chiquita Johnson, who owns West Tourism Management, one of the emerging travel, lifestyle, and tour companies in Monrovia, and she's going to tell us everything that we need to know about the tourism industry, what's popping in Liberia, and what's in store for Liberia's tourism future. Don't go anywhere. It's the Vickie Remoe show. We will be right back. I am on top of the Royal Grand Hotel in Monrovia. It is quite fabulous. And I'm here to talk to the woman who brought us here so she can tell us why this is her spot and more, tourism in Liberia, and just her life as a returned citizen of Liberia from the diaspora. Hi, Chiquita.
Hey, how you doing, Vickie?
I'm doing really well. Oh, girl, you don't have to speak up.
I'll try to speak loud.
Okay. Tell me about why this location is where you wanted us to meet today.
So Royal is definitely one of the top hotels in Monrovia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it opened about 4 years ago, and it's really known for its really great food. They have a really great Thai, Japanese menu up here on the rooftop. It's also the Friday night spot, like the pre-spot where everybody comes and turns up a little bit before hitting the town. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful property, really modern rooms, you know, great food downstairs as well in the cafe. They have a coffee shop. It's just the place to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we will have to go and see more of Royale. But right now, what I really want to talk to you about is when you decided to come back to Liberia, what precipitated that? Why did you feel like it was time to come back home?
I left Liberia when I was 4 years old, lived in the States for 20 years. The first time I visited as an adult was in 2009, and I just completely fell in love. You know, I just felt like this is home. You know, I lived in America for 20 years, but when I came back, I just felt so comfortable, and like I just knew this is where I needed to be. And like the natural beauty is really what drew me in. You know, the beaches, the rivers, the lagoons, the mountains, and you know, having a hospitality and tourism background, I knew it was the perfect place for me to come and kick off my career, if you will, because at that time I was just a year out of college, still trying to decide what I wanted to do. So I was here for 2 weeks, went back to the States, gave myself like a 6 months timeline, just trying to figure out how I would come back to Liberia. I didn't know how I was going to do it, and God just made it so within that time I was hired by, at the time, Liberia's only 5-star resort, RLJ Kennedy Resort and Villas. They interviewed me out of the office in the States, and they relocated me, and I've been here ever since 2010.
Wow, that's like the dream. That's the dream
Definitely.
that everybody has in terms of moving back. Like, if I can get a job while I'm over there, and then they bring me back. So you definitely got lucky. It wasn't like that for me. Was not. What do you find is the greatest, like, in terms of like with all the sacrifices that there are to being back in Liberia, what is the upside? Like, what makes it worth it every day you wake up, you know what? I'm choosing to be here, and I'm still standing by that choice, and it's the best decision for me. Definitely
the fact that I was able to start my own business, own my own business. You know, a lot of people are doing it in the States, but it is much harder on that side. And yeah, like I said, I was so inspired by the natural beauty of the country. I knew that, you know, I had to start a tourism business, you know. And in 2015, after Ebola, oddly enough, is when I started my business, West Tourism Management. It's a boutique tour operator, and it specializes in providing unique experiences in African destinations.
So you started a tourism company after Ebola. Girl!
I know.
What's wrong with you?
It's not me. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure you were like, it was in the works for you, right? You had been planning it. It just happened that Ebola happened, and you thought, I'm not going to ditch my dreams.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. How quickly can someone register a business in Liberia or start a business? And also, is this a country where there are a lot of women in business, a lot of young women in business? Like, where do you fit in that landscape?
Sure, that's a really great question. Yeah, right now, before it took me one time a month, because I've registered a few businesses in Liberia. One time it took me a whole month to register a business, but you know, it's gotten to the point now where you can register a business within 48 hours. Yeah, with the new Liberian Business Registry, they have a lot of new policies in place.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that's really great. And as far as women in business, yes, tons and tons and tons. It's so funny. I find it that I come across more female entrepreneurs in Liberia than males. The males are usually in like the banks, the government, you know, lawyers, doctors, and things like that. But the women are really the ones that are, you know, pioneering when it comes to starting businesses.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that, like, in general, our societies are just more open to men in positions of traditional positions of authority, like, you know, a manager, a man, a man, but women, so then we have to be more creative and innovative with regards to like the kind of like things that we do, you know?
It could be. I've never really thought about it, but I mean, what I always think about African women and starting businesses is the fact are the market women,
right?
You know, the traditional market women that we all knew growing up. You know, our grandmothers, our aunties,
of course,
were all, you know,
my grandmother,
right? Yeah, you know, so I think that spirit of that woman that wakes up every day and goes out and grinds, I think it's kind of instilled in us as African women.
Right. Plus some jobs, not even some, a lot of the jobs that are in the office don't really pay very well.
That's true.
Right? So,
That's
especially because we have children sometimes and families to take care of, sitting in an office all day. You're not going to give me money just to wear suit and tie to come and look cute. You're like, what is the point? Let me go and hustle. And, you know, there might be some kind of like instability of variance, but at least you know that if you work really, really, really hard, you can hustle and get more than a general salary. That's cool. We were actually at Waterside Market today, met some market women. So sassy. Hey, Liberia. Let me tell you, I was trying to sweet talk this lady into like letting me interview her. She was not having it. She was like, you go, you can, na money. You want to do this, na money. Everything, na money. They were just like, listen, lady, we know you're cute.
Yes, they're
but like, don't think that we're impressed with you. They were not impressed by me. Oh my God.
They're over people taking pictures and videos of them because all they know is that these people go and make plenty of money from filming me. So what do I benefit from?
Yeah. Speaking of Ebola, one of the things that the lady said, because we went to the part where they had produce, and she was saying that like they're not doing any more interviews with journalists because during Ebola, everybody started saying that it came from monkeys and bushmeat, and so it ruined the trade for them. So business was really bad. So she's like, we're not talking to journalists. We don't like journalists. Like they were just like so blatant.
Interesting.
And I was just wondering like what other industries, I mean, naturally, I would assume that tourism was really badly hit. But tell me a little bit about what was happening before Ebola in the tourism industry, how Ebola affected the tourism industry, and how are things doing now?
Yeah, sure. So before, you know, to be honest, before Ebola, we were getting a lot more business travelers. Those are the main people coming in. And then, of course, they wanted to do some fun things on the weekend or when they had free time and stuff like that. During the crisis, I was actually only here for about a month. You know, it was a way where I had already applied to go to school in the Gambia, actually, and study tourism in the African context. So that's when I left and came back in 2015. So the crisis was during 2014. I came back in 2015. And since then, oddly enough, you know, tourism has really been a hot topic since then, and I think it's because we want to try to use it to rebrand the country again. You know, we're always in this position where we have to, you know, beautify or, you know, glorify Liberia's image because first it was the war, then between that time we had a really good rep, like we were like, yeah, we're getting it, then Ebola came. So but since then a lot of projects have gone into place. We've you know, the government has worked with the International Trade Center. I was the tourism consultant on that project to develop like a tourism roadmap, actually, like a 5-year strategy of how we could increase the industry. And since then it's been picking up. Like
so are you saying the hotel that we're sitting at was built after Ebola?
No, it was built before.
Okay,
when
before
did I say
Ebola.
That it was built?
You said it had been around for about 4 years.
4 years. No, sorry, excuse me. So this launched in 2013.
Okay, so just right before Ebola.
Yeah, right,
okay,
right,
fantastic.
yeah.
Okay, they must have been really hit.
I'm sure they were. I mean, there was a point where they were evacuating people out of the country. You know what I mean? Like I said, a lot of business travelers, they were the main ones filling up the hotels at the time, not tourists.
Of course.
So you know, business travel went down significantly. A lot of the NGO workers left. They're the ones who usually come and eat at the restaurants.
Of
and have
course,
experiences
expats, and returnees.
So they were badly hit. It was a tough time.
Okay. What's in future or in store for tourism, the future of Liberia with regard to tourism?
Sure. So you mentioned the strategy, and you know, from that strategy, the key products that we pulled out were surf tourism, ecotourism, and wildlife tourism.
Okay.
You know, we have some of the best beaches in the world for surfing, you know, an abundance of wildlife, and you know, vast rainforest, so ecotourism, and a lot of potential for ecotourism investment.
Okay.
But if you ask me, and what my company is focusing on right now is exposing the world to Liberia's unique history. The fact that so many people in the world do not know that this was Africa's first republic.
Of course.
A lot of people don't know that it was founded by freed American slaves. You know, it's the only entry point. Like there's so many exit points in West Africa, Ghana, you know, Senegal. You've been to the touristic sites, you know. But Liberia has one of the only entry points where freed slaves came back in and helped the indigenous people to build the country, and that's very, very, very. That's a very important story to tell. Right. You know, and I know Sierra Leone has a
we have like well. It's, you know, and I was at the National Museum today, and it was way more overwhelming than I thought it was going to be, like just emotionally, because it's Liberia's history that you're you know, reading about, but then of course I know like almost a very similar parallel history, you know, in Sierra Leone. So I'm there, and you know, from the American Colonization Society to having the freed slaves come back and set up the colony, and also that divide between people who returned as free slaves or repatriates and the indigenous people, always kind of, even today, I mean, even today there's, I mean, in Sierra Leone they're called Creoles, and I know here they are Americo-Liberians. Even today, I mean, there's still just nuances and hints of it where you can tell that, like, yeah, people came back to, you know, they basically founded a country on top of where people were. You know this American saying how, like, Plymouth Rock landed on them? It's like the freed slaves came back and landed on the indigenous people and then said, we have founded this country. And their indigenous people are like, well, first of all, you on our land. Okay, this is our, we don't know who you is. And so that was really touching. And then, you know, going to learn about how, you know, one party is in government for 100 years and all of them are descendants of slaves. And you start to understand why, you know, the Civil War that happened here wasn't, it's not simple. You know, it's not simple. It's so complex. It's so complex, as is every country's history, really. But I do think that that's something that Sierra Leone and Liberia share with regards to this being entry points for slaves and that coming back, you know, coming back, not just sending off, you know, but like, you know, bringing them back. And it's important because I feel like so many African Americans, they feel like there's this huge disconnect between them and Africans, and I think that if they knew this story, you know what I mean, it would really change the perspective. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on this year and going into 2019 is trying to see how I can organize some group trips with young African Americans, bringing them over to Liberia, having dialogues, you know what I mean, and just having them understand what really went down. So thank you so much for talking to me. It's been such a treat. I'm gonna make sure that I go to Robisport because you said best tourism. I'm not going to leave here without going to see some surfing in that area. I'm happy to hear that. It's like the one thing I'm like, I must go there, I must see, the people must see. Beautiful. And I really have just been so, I feel blessed to be here because, you know, part of being neighbors and sister countries and having this shared history is that we also have to come here. We have to go to each other's countries. Definitely. We have to explore more and collaborate because travel is essential. Somebody in Sierra Leone might also have a travel agency or a travel and tour company, and you guys can have some kind of relationship where you're bringing tourists from the U.S. and the packages, you come to Liberia and then you go to Sierra Leone and then for sure. Let's make this happen. The Sierra Leone-Liberia collaboration.